In this video, we will be assessing the question of whether or not the educational reform improved education from pre-reform and after reform. The education reform started to advance between the 1830s and the 1840s. Some of the most influential people involved in the improvement of the movement were Horace Mann, Catherine Beach, Emma Willard, and Noah Webster. To understand the concept of education before the reform, in simplest words, a majority of the children were homeschooled. Students were originally taught from the Bible by their parents. New England at the time was known to have the highest literacy rates, and African Americans were forbidden from education. Of all the people previously listed, Horace Mann was one of the most prominent leaders of the education reform movement in the 1800s. He is known as the father of common school movement. Before discussing what Horace Mann did, a little bit about him and why he did it. He believed that in a democratic society, education should be free and universal, non-sectarian and democratic in method. It should be reliant on well-trained professional teachers. According to Britannica, during Mann's own lifetime, the quality of education had deteriorated as school control had gradually slipped into the hands of economy-minded local districts. A vigorous reform movement arose, committed to halting this decline by reasserting the state's influence. The result was an establishment in 1837 of the State Board of Education, charged with publicizing school information throughout the state. A majority of the fight for education was to bring it under the control of the government. The reformers attempted to improve the techniques and resources available to convince the state to promote a uniform system of education. Although Mann and the other reformers aimed to improve the form of education, their aim was never to bring it under their own complete control. Their actions were simply directed towards the benefit of society. When Mann became president of the state senate, he played a key role in establishing the Massachusetts Board of Education in 1837. Appointed as the board's first secretary, the same year his aim was to accomplish 3 objectives. His first objective was the state collection of educational data. His second objective was the state adoption of textbooks, and his third objective was the state control of teacher preparation. He established approved school libraries and normal schools, otherwise known as teacher colleges. He later introduced the age grading system, which separated children into grades based on their ages. He also coined the term common schools, which referred to the basic form of schools that would provide education to all, no matter the class, caste, or race. Mann also faced severe and strong opposition from the Protestant leaders who argued that Mann was overusing his powers as secretary to impose his own Republican ideals. He deliberately chose to ignore the doubters and said, "I beseech you to treasure up in your hearts these my parting words. Be ashamed to die until you have won some victory for humanity." Horace Mann, although being the most prominent leader, was not the only leader. As mentioned before, Catherine Beach and Emma Willard made grave contributions to the reform as well. Were focused on the betterment of education for women. Beach pushed for the women's education movement in the mid-1800s, and Willard believed that women were the intellectual equals of men. In 1821, after facing numerous objections and rejections from the society and the government, Willard opened the Troy Female Seminary in New York. And Noah Webster made the contribution of creating the American Dictionary of 1828. All in all, a conclusion can be made that there was significant improvement seen in the education from pre-reform to after reform. This is significant as education today would not be what it is without the contributions of the people mentioned.